apologize to Famulem. It's an emergency program, so Famulem need for understand this. And I have no doubt that a lot of us will understand this anyway, that it's an emergency program. And away from this, there are other things to be done. Like, for example, I do work, and the program as an emergency program being pre-planned, but I got caught up in traffic. So I began for postpone, and I'll be listening at something for do as a responsible channel. But again, just a quick one, Fambulem, I want to say a warm welcome and greetings to all. Today, Friday, the 23rd of April, 2021, on the then now media empire, me now host and presenter Prince Emil Koma, they come to now with this special broadcast. And tell you thank you people for being patient, and it's necessary because the national conversation is on, and it involves me and you, vis-a-vis you and me or us. So it's a quick one, 45 minutes, 1 hour at most, but we definitely need for talk. So Fambule, here is the case, and we title on police brutality in Sierra Leone. Where does the buck stops? There's a reason why we asked the question. So we want to look at 2 or 3 critical points, then we delve into the real issue and see whether we will get any derivatives, solutions, identify the problem, and see what's the way forward. Hence, where does the buck stops? A famous American kind of lingo or lingua, some people will say. So lately, and it's not really new, because on tomorrow we play a repeated program where we will show a broadcast where we do on police activities regarding torture going back 2019 of February. 2019 of February, that's over 2 years ago, because some people don't know, say we don't talk for this length of time. So tomorrow we will replay a video where we do, a broadcast where we do in February of 2019. That would be what we will be replaying on tomorrow, Saturday, because Supermed not there, so we just play repeated program a day on holiday. And Supermed lost his sister, by the way. So this platform, I use this opportunity for express with deepest and profound condolences to this brother who is doing a marvelous job on SN, social media. But on the issue of police violence, Fambulem, we don't say it done the pass mark. It really done the pass mark. Today, or before we come to studio, we will not make plans for show some of the videos there. We don't make the rounds. And other graphic photos then, we don't make the rounds of potential, possible police torture, a killing or killings. I'll pluralize on the S, killings of Sierra Leonean nationals. Difficult for reconcile with, but that is just the reality. But we change we mind at the last minute because the package will be not prepared for show owner. Of course, it's emotional, it's touching. Except you are not a human being, then are the only way you know go appreciate that video that they will for show you, because in real time showing police they torture a own citizen then, kill a own citizen then. There's an argument as to why, but when we look at from the lens of this platform, we still can't just figure out why. It's like, come on, you cannot be serious. Not so because somebody run with a motorbike, or let we say somebody they run from police, therefore you kill them. That's against the law. You don't shoot a man in the back. And we said this before, like a few years before today. We've been saying this because we get a little idea about policing. We do. About the criminal justice system. We do. I can say that. And on this platform, we don't bring few people and we don't can talk about the criminal justice system. We've brought them here. So we've had these discussions. So we decide against showing them video then. Not because then they blame we. Yes, happy for see brother Benjamin Yakaibanja on the program. Really, really happy. It's been a while. I hope And I'm sure you're keeping well, brother. Let me just acknowledge some people quickly. Yes, that's brother Benjamin Iakai Banja and Mosila, Usman Conte, and Sister Janet Martha Musa. Hello to everyone, and hello to the Denena platform. We are on a lobby shape. I know say we don't late for the program, of course, and I explain. I got caught up in traffic because I do work. I've got a full-time job. I'm not complaining. I have no reasons to complain. I enjoy what I do. I just be one there with you, as they know say, between workplace, social activities, gather news, back in studio. This is what you have to encounter. So we go back to the issue of police brutality. So lately, we don't see all the videos that are put on the surface about police brutality, how police actually they brutalize their young people, or people with whom they are charged with the responsibility of protecting them. So I know that the argument is a little bit confusing for some people. Like I've been saying, I do have these arguments all the time with other people. So you will get people, for example, we will say, well, one of the latest video we will see where I can't stomach every time I see that video rather, I do well up. Let me be honest to you. Was the torturing of somebody who look like a female and a young person by people clad in police uniform. And this is not strange. It does seem like a pattern. And this person was being tortured overhead. Imagine you had using hard metal, hard material, such as a mobile phone for punch your head, knock your head over and over with how she's called in your brain. I've got daughters. I'm a daughter. And it worries me a lot. So there was some emotional attachment. We are not allowed to carry me away. I allow for the critical thinking side of me, brighter grammar, if you like, weigh in so that I become a critical thinker. Is it necessary waiting the police to do? And of course, it wasn't necessary, because one thing we need to understand is the duty of the police is to serve and to protect. Sister Janet Martha Musa, thank you very much for sharing the video. And I will ask everybody else for help for share the video. Sometimes the numbers, the viewing numbers are low, but subsequently the numbers do increase. And when the link broke, you're not even able to monitor them, because sometimes it does go viral, but different links then. So different numbers. So I appreciate that. But I ask everybody, do you want to help for let me share them? Let other people they can engage in this conversation. This conversation quite important. And I say we do one for 1 hour. So we decide against showing this graphic, this vivid graphic videos, in some cases photographs of torturing where we don't collect by the Sierra Leonean police. I repeat, by the Sierra Leonean police, torturing their compatriots, Sierra Leoneans. Some of them I find it difficult. One of the one who we want shown now was this one where allegedly a mobile phone was stolen and sold or passed on to somebody else by somebody who look female, very young, tortured by police in uniform. We decide against that because some of the complaints the way we can get is like, well, this we don't agree with that. I just want to make it clearly. But those complaints or these complaints are now all they have for tarnish the image of the country. And we take a case for that. Government has got a responsibility, a social contract. And if we want to see the title of this program, though is say where does the buck stops and police brutality, but waiting preclude this particular broadcast of the title. Now a flyer with a little bit of explanation on the bottom of the flyer. And if you look at the flyer, you will see that famous resist full the feast. It's deliberate based on what we see occur inside parliament. We now know that the fate of the people, and I repeat this is important because I haven't gone this far before. We now know that the fate of the country, of our people, lies in their own hands. It's always been in their own hands by virtue of voting and voting in the right people so that the choices that these people make will benefit them. But lately, we are seeing quite the opposite. So we see then social repercussions there because of the failure of policies. These policies are not working in the interest of the Sierra Leonean people. And they're not working in the interest of the Sierra Leonean people, especially through the economic side of things, because money is supposed to go around. When you earn money, you don't need to go to criminal activities. When you don't earn money, which the state then has the responsibility for make that provision, not a responsibility only for provide you a job, because the state, of course, in practice, cannot provide everybody with a job. But what they can do is provide an atmosphere in which most likely the private sector can get engaged with the public by providing jobs so that the public become employed. And then when they get paid, monies are then reaping into the tax system. And this tax system, the benefits out of the working class, and therefore money they go around. And that's less crime because people are gainfully employed. They are engaged. This is not the situation, and this is what we want to speak to. And in this process, waiting actually they happen now because of the lack of jobs, of money, gainful employment. The first instinct of mortal man, not that of survival. So if you want to survive, you get for devise means. And if the means become difficult and difficult all the time, the way to pursue the survival mode becomes extreme. This is scientific, this is psychological, this is documented. It becomes extreme. And when it becomes extreme, like you can hear in many circles, like the higher the risk and the higher everything else. It's the same situation. So we haven't come here to meld the government. We've come here to speak directly to the government so that the government understands their responsibility. And we're not saying that they don't understand. Serving or using the platform as a reminder, there should not be anything wrong with doing so. In fact, it is the responsibility of citizens. I will add the word civic responsibility of citizens for serve as a reminder to government of its obligation or social contract to its people. The people will try to keep their side or bargain of the social contract. I've spoken about this before 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The tapes are on media, YouTube. I'm speaking about it now because, again, the same thing becomes relevant again and again and again. If you don't make provisions for the people, we will all agree that the instinct, basic instinct of a mortal man, not that of survival, you therefore devise a means or a mode for that survival process. So when employment is scarce, people will get involved in all other things, not necessarily crime, but things that when they generate money for them and survive, then places that they become tighter enough because probably they most likely they can't take everybody on. People will therefore resort to other means. Of course, some people can take shortcuts to their means they need. But here is the thing. The whole thing lies with government, not in terms of employing everybody because government cannot. The basic and most extreme responsibility of government is providing that atmosphere because after all, the government is not irresponsible for the way almost how people live. And inside about this, the division of resources, of jobs, how people live about the business, looking after them, security-wise, whether or not tangible security, both in food security or social security, it is the responsibility of it. When government become lacking in those sense, in terms of its citizens, it then becomes a social problem. And that social problem, and they get a backlash as well, but it all go back for fall down on government. For Fambulen, suffice me to say that lately, police brutality is actually on the rise. The reason we go suppose that's the reason why it's on the rise, because generally we human beings, from a philosophical, I'm philosophizing now, from a philosophical point of view, we are meant to be of good. We want to do good. We don't just come to this world for begin to violate laws, break rules. No, we want to live as a citizen when it contributes to the very good of a very society. That's what we want to do. But in the process, there are those who are responsible on the way or in the way how we conduct ourselves. And the people that were responsible as such is that of government. So government then therefore enact policies where they impact in a positive way the lives of the people. Unfortunately, government has not been able to do this, and this is just the fact. So nothing in a positive sense is trickling down to the people. So in that quest of survival, which then becomes a kind of a jungle, repeating, which then becomes a kind of jungle in which the fittest survive, we will then see things the way they occur now in country: brutalization, victimization, torture, threat, blackmail, smearing, and there are many more adjectives than we can use. But the focus tonight is a huge institution of the state, which is called the police. So let me give a quick rundown. I'll try to build the story for come to this, because normally you can start from the brief rundown of police. So let us give a brief rundown. Before I do this again, at the Ask Fambulen, today, the 23rd of April, is a quick broadcast. In other words, people call them an emergency broadcast, because there are many things going on. I remember I said my sister called me, I know go call name, and few other people then after. It's like, which absolutely makes sense. Things are happening, and the responsibility of a responsible platform is to weigh in on these things that are happening, so that when people listen to you, at least they get the message, or they can count on the platform, say, well, we did get the message from the then and now media empire platform. And away from the advisory, which did motivate this broadcast tonight, I must say, is absolutely necessary. Because if you look at the emblem, we logo, what we stand for, or what we say, is information is power. I repeat, information is power. If people are informed, are empowered people, and especially so when we try to cut a niche within the many, many dozens upon dozens upon dozens of social media platforms, we want to stand up with that beacon of truth, the light of truth, for saying, where what we are trying to say here is nothing else but things that we consider as facts, because we have the evidence, such as what we do here tonight in terms of police brutality. So police brutality in Sierra Leone are fact. We also allude to the possibility I can go and statistics, because we've done that. Then I've been part of this broadcast, supposed to start 8 o'clock, provide statistics, and the level of poverty where they go up on the basis of statistics, and the repercussions, the ramifications of poverty going up. What does that mean? It also gets a spiral effect on societal values, because people cannot afford to live. Remember, we've got responsibilities. So let me take a quick look again, like I've been saying before, I digress, on the police, its humble beginnings. We can take them back to frontier police. And by the way, I want to family to say, my thesis on the postgraduate now on policing. It was a contrast between Western police and African police, Sierra Leone police, Britain police, as Britain now will be colonial master. So 25% in a contextual way, contrast between British police, the value, the way we try to inculcate for them, or we then take over to be, as it began as a frontier police. Frontier, for those of us who don't understand, there was a division between upline, the hinterland, and the main city center, Freetown, not the center, but the capital, Freetown. So before you come up here and there, just like South Africa of late, most people will have known this about South Africa, but not about Sierra Leone. You therefore present some document where they make for let you come out, almost like a visa within your own country. This is the problem why, people like you say, because it's a bittersweet moment, it's like where we should have remained in slavery, effectively slavery, or to be exact, colonialism. Whilst I understand the frustration, but I don't agree, because there were many other things, and the disadvantage were many. Had we managed what we had, and this is not my understanding, had we managed what we had, then the people that will say, well, why we come out anyway, or asking the question, at 60 years old, what is there to celebrate? Which I try for understand. I don't agree. I understand, because I come from an age where I ride train, by the way. I ride train, a lot of train, born on 32A Guard Street, okay? And train was just like few yards away, probably about 200 or 300 yards away from where I was born, where I live, 32A Guard Street. So from there to Dovecourt, was about 200-300 yards, the final stop of the trains. If train moved from that point, because there was a single track where they go up hill station, outside they expatriate, they believe, mostly white people. But the main stop was Dovecourt. So I can't remember whether we paid a pet, and I don't think so. Maybe by the age I was, but we just walk into a train and sit down on the wooden benches, and that train is smoking away. You hear the horn, and then the blast, and then the plume of smoke, and then going through my bank bridge and etc. So yes, I did. I also rode double-decker bus. I also attended school in Sierra Leone, Holy Trinity School, kindergarten, partly primary, I think class 3, and then from class 4 to selective entrance class 7 was Cathedral Boys School on House Street, and then matriculated to Albert Academy. So I saw all those places in which there was free food. I ate free food, condom, we may call them, very good. Bulgur, cornmeal, whether on a pap, on a fish cake, on a, at the time. In other words, I just try to create a family, and I lived in that period. So emotionally, I am connected. But I don't agree that we will be supposed to remain under slavery or colonialism. Because if the colonialists, it comes to a point where we'll not be able for hold any longer, because that'll be an expensive project. But back to the police. So the same way they use the police, for police between them when no one listen to them, for compel them, for listen, for comply with the situation then. This same frontier police now then pass over to successive governments, beginning the one at independence, which was used largely against others who decided they don't agree with the status quo, beginning with Siaka Stevens. We say, we're not be ready for independence. So the police was used against trade unions and etc. So, family, which I try to say basically is the police will not occupy this, but yet still it's a decent organization or institution of the state whose sole responsibility is to serve and to protect. Is to serve and to protect. Unfortunately, as we begin to move on into difficult times inside with 60 years history, and this goes back like 30, 40 years, apart from the historical side, police then were employed for defend politicians. In other words, the breakup of the institution will be not start some time ago, but in a decent way for keep the sanctity of the state is now being exploited by subsequent politicians, Sir Albert Magai, under the SLPP, made worse under the government of Siaka Stevens of the APC, in which this institution became so compromised that the police boss was part of the decision making, the political. Remember, the police is supposed to be apolitical, a capital A political, but became political, was engaged in political issues because the government then under Siaka Stevens embraced that. The same thing with the army institution, the institution of the army. These institutions are meant to be independent. The police will serve the people and the state, protect life and property. The army will protect the state from outside aggression. So waiting can happen now. In the interest of politics, partisan politics, polarization, identity politics, the police and the army became compromised. They sat in parliament, which was never supposed to happen. This history is necessary because at 60, we then need to have a reflection why we are where we are and we are fumbling. This is quite serious. Today, I put the flag behind me. I will show one or two other pictures because this flag is supposed to embrace or encapsulate all of the problems or protect every one of us. The flag, green, white, and blue. But because of the history of polarization and identity politics, it is not the case. It's almost like the reverse. But here is the thing, I could go on and on with this history, and as we celebrate this special occasion of Independence Special, because there are more programs to come on the then and now, I could move on, because I should say family don't catch that gist for understanding how policeman end up in a parliament, how soldier man end up in a parliament. We can compromise then two sacred institutions there, which is supposed to be independent and only serve at the mercy of the people. They had become compromised then. And not only two, but more significant were these institutions. In other words, they became partitioned. So either you are with us or you are against us. And this is what's going to happen anyway, because it was coming from the hierarchy of power. So Bombay became part of Parliament's decision making. And so was the first commander, then subsequently, who became the president. But one of Sierra Leone's best in a different way. It sounds controversial, but at least he failed the nation. And I talk about Brigadier, the late Joseph Saidu Momo, who came before the nation, and there's nothing equivalent to this. Humbled himself and told the nation that I have failed you, and apologized to the nation. There can be no equivalence. Because when we look back, all the other leaders then, while we can try to do some comparative analysis, then plus and the box, nobody not equal to them. And Joseph Saidu Momo, I don't know, and they try for study and they look for materials. Anybody get materials, please send them to me for understand what then been the play on in his head. Did he suddenly realize that he's surrounded by dogs, by thieves, by criminals who had no intention other than self-serving for the country, and say, you know what? It's difficult for me because I'm surrounded by these people, but the best I can do, and maybe he did care for his legacy, because that's why we are saying what we are saying now, and went to the nation and confessed his humility. And remember, I said, not speculate, I speculate family. Don't hold me responsible. I'm just speculating based on the circumstances. Or it could be very well somebody from internal or people from internally decided this is not the wrong way we go. We need to apologize to the Sierra Leonean people. But let me leave that aside for rest for now, because one day definitely we will come with this program. But that was the polarization process. That was the development of identity politics. We go beyond that stage, but hastened or fast forwarded by the then government under the one-party rule. Anyway, the one-party rule was to come to an end. We had a war, an unnecessary war. Remember, I am not a war advocate, but I'm a pragmatist. I want the family to understand this. Because even now, some people who supported the war for different reasons are now backing away from the war because they find it no longer necessary. But on the basis of the country being a failed state, then, under the same Joseph Saidu what I've just spoken reasonably about, and there was a degree of despondency, like say we need to go before, like the country in itself, there is nothing we were able to happen from the inside. Because why? Again, it don't become polarized. That the party structure or the ruling class is one tribe or people who are very close to the tribes, and at all cost, that the only people with military background and weapons and any degree of force, their allegiance was not to the state and the people, but rather to the prevailing governors at that time. So you don't see the difficulty. Hence, the country not being go before, it became necessary that an external struggle was imminent. And apart from people making that up, it was just imminent, because the art of war implied, and we see something like this, where I will either talk about tonight if I've got time, or maybe some other time. The art of war then becomes necessary, in which Sun Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, said, people, when they push towards a wall, a solid wall just like this, cannot go through the wall. And if you cannot go through the wall, then you go get for bounce back. These are the ways where rebellion can start. And the state normally can ask for that, because they can ask too much of what they can swallow, or what in Englishman say, you beat off too much than you can chew. You know, it will do inside you not. So it choke you. So the polarization of the police continued. And every time a new government comes, they decide to use the police in a different way against its own people. The tax-paying people, and family, which I want to know. Sometimes they will go and praise them politicians. These politicians need to dip their hands inside their pocket for take care of the country, for take care of me and you, with people and with granny, with auntie, with sister, with brother, with cousin, with nieces, wives, and we picking them. No assurance in terms of the places in how we come out about the future. Probably long after we're gone picking them, in etc. Nothing of that kind. All of these monies, when they talk about, all what in this fight is about, is taxpayers' money. So we go work, we pay, and it creates jobs because of the obligations. And now we elect them. Power belongs to the people. The electors, they elect their people there for letting them go represent them and do things that will benefit them. And in the process, all waiting to happen, it's not monies from their pockets, it's taxpayers' money, the people's money that are used or supposed to be used for the benefit of the people. But yet we continue to see corruption on a mass, and then the propaganda between sides where they compete in terms of evil. They don't really care about us, it's about them. They really just care about themselves. And in the meantime, whilst the tussle goes on, the crumbs drop off the table, and it's a national pie. It belongs to every one of us. But because they are the rulers, sometimes they misconstrue them things there, and they become the all-powerful, such as within we see. This is a power struggle ongoing in Sierra Leone now. The government of retired Brigadier Julius Malabio has a 5-year mandate that cannot be denied by the people of Sierra Leone. The people can only make a decision. Of course, Parliament get boku other rights for vote of no confidence and many other things, but we know say we fire away from that because what you will see the play out inside Parliament is trouble. Hence why the platform narrative don't change, because there was hope for a long time that within the wells of Parliament, we might see changes. That at least Parliament, which is a place for Georgia, no war, will come up with potential situation them or solutions then. We will try for better the lives of our people. But this has never been the case. Never been the case. Never is the case. And until we the people realize this, then it's never going to be better for us. Until we realize not only one t-shirt where they buy you 30,000, not only one bag vest where they buy you 300,000, which is inside 1 month. And what you need for realize is they get a 5-year mandate and they can you one bag vest with the There are 12 months in a year. There are 12 times 5, 60 months. 60 months in a parliamentary calendar where a president or a government get authority for rule over you legally. So inside that 60 months, there's an family we need to think about. Those of us who they watch directly from home, but they watch from here, abroad, the near abroad, need for convey that kind of message there to the people. It's not because we live abroad, those of us who live abroad, and are detached from the reality on the ground. So therefore, somehow we do support things that which turns out not to be right. This is not about APC or SLPP. This is about Sierra Leone, hence the flag behind me. This is about a country of almost 8 million people. And yet the police, which is the subject matter of today's discussion, or tonight's discussion, depending on where you are being used for torture the people. Then. So much so that politicians no need for them aside outside the police the torture because they're being trained, or these set of people then get connection with the there are no conscience. So they can carry out the torture, full uniform on the very people that when they pay their fees. On the people that we wages. Let's be realistic. I cannot continue. I am emotionally moved. I am that video was that is almost get to like. And people that will wage enormous power in the state, I mean, in terms of uniform and gun, they beat over this beginning here and they cry mercilessly. This is abuse of human rights. This is torture, and it's not acceptable anywhere. Whether she had stolen, whether she stole, and not give anybody rights. And these are the things that we need to understand. Instead of to point fingers at the authority, and I'm going to say this much, instead of we point fingers at the authority for not making provision, because the reason in most cases why crime can be on the rise, now because the state refused to honor the side of the contract. And we see that they happen now. This is not just cheap politics, this is real politics that they talk about. The government has a responsibility, and economically, they are not doing well. Remember, it's not here to pummel the government as some would want to think. It's just realistic approach as to what with social problems are, as to why we see the rise of the police, they torture their own citizens them. Evidence obtained as a consequence of torture is rubbish. It's not acceptable because you put somebody under duress. Forget evidence out of them. It doesn't work that way. And what you will see on live video as well, and this Papa government doesn't go down well for you, because sometimes they want to blame us. We, those of us in the media, far away from home. These videos come from home. How do we record them? They come from home. So this notion that politics is not being discussed down there as much as it's being discussed out here, it's not true. Not true at all, at all, at all. So if you provide work for these people, there will be less crimes, less social problems. And money, the way you spend, because you see, policies get effect. The way how we can, sort of filter down for people and for benefit. It does have effect. And one other thing about policy is not based on opinion. If you base them on opinion, it fails. It's based on statistics. What are the numbers? What does it point to? What's the effect? Who does it benefit? Why? Time, space. That's the way policy works. So the police brutality we see is as a consequence of the things that we politicians and they allow. We see politicians and they take people and go people in land, go beat people and walk. We see politicians and they go to a polling station with taxpayers them when they have no business being there. The abuse of processes and procedures. I can take a quick music break, Fambulem, because this is quite interesting here tonight. I mean, if you start to go 1 hour as usual, I love talking, by the way, but sensible talking. So I'll play one of the songs that I really like, very, very necessary. And yeah, let me see how it play out. Let me see how it play out. Let me wind down a bit. Okay, Fambulem, I'm back. I'm really back. Not for the first time I play this song, and wanna forgive me. And I shall say the artist of this brilliant song go appreciate, because I derive no benefit, financial benefit from him. Yes, Gotham, welcome to the program. Thank you very much. I derive no private financial benefit from him other than something for play for we country people them, so that we can understand where we are and why we are where we are. Today we did talk down on the 23rd of April 2020. We did talk about police torture. The torturing of by police of its citizens is not acceptable nowhere in the world. Yeah. And I don't want to begin to do comparative with other sides of the world, because torture generally is not accepted. What do people like in try for do now? We try to create a situation in which they will try to explain as to why it's so common as to why they did what they did, why they did what they did. Does not necessarily justify the cause. Okay, that video, a noble profession as the police. Remember, the police got hammered and destroyed then during the war, after the war, and we therefore collect the pieces after the war, for then make the police the right thing where they're supposed to be. And waiting at this relevant thing here, representation of the people in a democratic style, for the people, by the people, and with the people. That'll be the idea. We bring a foreign national, a Whitman to Bab. Yeah? We'll come. And then he can represent the Sierra Leone Police in many respects, help for build them to waiting even day up to the time where the war done. We left a military government, a military style government, and then we usher in, we first republic under the late Alhaji Tijan Kaba. So one good thing say, and in my humble opinion say, we make many, many gains from that period. And there was an intention, because we get some other brokers, we can help we for keep the peace. There were many international people involved. The late Kofi Annan, may his soul rest in peace. The late Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, may his soul rest in peace. The late Nasingwi Iadema of Togo, May his soul rest in peace. Dr. Eben Chambers, still around, I think a Ghanaian national, and many others. I refuse to mention Dr. Abbas Bundu in name because he's a conflicted man and he's compromised. I know we'll talk about him on this particular program today. I will touch on him briefly, but there's a program coming in which obviously we will be talking about Dr. Abbas Bundu. We definitely will be talking about Dr. Abbas Bundu, okay? But there were many brokers involved in helping us to attain that peace that we wanted so badly, because the center fell apart. It could not hold. Anarchy unleashed on our people, in which men, women, and children perished. Limbs were hacked. It became grotesque. The scene was gruesome, unacceptable by local standard and international standard. In the end, we had others that came to our rescue, and together we managed to find a way going forward. And we came from those dark moments in our history to a moment of hope for our people, a moment of hope for our people. And then these things seem to be dissipating, just like a chemical compound, all over again. Just like a chemical compound, all over again. Things dissipating into thin air. And we have to ask ourselves, where are we? How have we arrived where we are? How are we digging so deep to a point when there doesn't seem to be compromises any longer? Because the die is cast, because it's the winner takes it all. There will be another subject discussion on this matter, winner takes it all, which is part of we problem, okay? Now part of we problem. And all of them things they are honestly kind of need for stop. So we see this video, then we don't come out. Even today, I don't know, I not verify that somebody was shot, somebody was killed, accordingly or allegedly by the security forces. So are the security forces going on the rampage and without any due consideration for the lives of its people, where they pay them via taxation, not consider them and just to kill them? Or does it mean, or some people will argue, if you will like, at a speedway, or I'm fleeing. Let's create the worst case scenario. I am fleeing away from police. Does police have the right to take my life from the back? The answer is simply no, you can't. Even though some people then go try to argue that, on which basis, I don't know. They have a right to their opinion, but not to their rights to their set of facts. The facts are there between what I say and you say. And what we know is an established principle. If person they run away from you, you don't stab them in the back. You don't shoot them in the back, especially the police. Whose priority, whose jurisdiction, now for serve and for protect. But lately the police have fallen short of all the immunity they are, or the things they are where they're supposed to do for the Sierra Leonean people. A few short announcements, and we come to the final structure of this program. Just before then, I ask again, do you want to allow we shape the program? These things are important. I know it's an emergency program. It wasn't planned. And then the time we were supposed to do them, we come out, I believe, 2 hours late than the time. But there is a saying, better late than never. On Saturday tomorrow, I will be playing an old clip, and there's a reason why. One is relevant to the current conversation, which is most important. Two, to the naysayers, we think say, now 1 month ago, when I begin for watch then and now, media empire, now in thinks the media empire don't talk. This is not the case. It's not been 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. We have been in this business for 4 years running. We get over 400 tips on social media, not Facebook, specifically on YouTube. We've got over 125,000 viewers. I repeat, 125,000 viewers on YouTube. Different tapes representing different shades of opinion regarding the country and people. We've interviewed not only politicians, but people from all walks of life. Farmers or teachers, civil servants, we've had them all. We know say the platform don't step to a moment in which it has become highly critical of government, but there is a reason why. If the government can give you reason for talk about other things then in a positive sense, then of course we will. But no, I'm a pragmatist, I'm a realist. I stood on the grounds and defend President Bio when he took over, before he took over, one, as leader of Sierra Leone, potential leader, father of democracy, in a kind of sense where you go define democracy, and that President Bio should be given chance. When people begin call for an early removal, I was vehemently against that. We just don't fight civil war. Stop stoking violence. After all, he's got a 5-year mandate. If you're upset with him, wait for that 5-year. When we go back to the ballot, go express your interest day in terms of, I'm not happy with the way you governed me for the last 5 years, I'm done. And then you cast your ballot for somebody else when you feel say will do the work. Sierra Leoneans, we need for wake up. So on Saturday, I replay that video there about police violence. That goes back to February 2019. That's over 2 years ago, family. Been doing this talking. So here is the thing. Police violence is being entertained, or I go insinuate, or I go speculate by the state, by officials of the state. And before we begin for holla, you know, oh, here we go again and this and that, let me provide the circumstances. So if something continuously continue for play out, especially bad things against we people, and if there are no repercussions when repercussions are supposed for take place, supposed for happen, and the reason why it is stop is almost like a revolving door, we can easily say these signs are all symptoms or indicative of the power structure with the subscribe kind of thing there. Again, another thing I will add to that is the same power structure, just like I say at some point, divide the police between them and us, or we and them. Take the police for go raid somebody in land. Take the police for go intimidate people in a ballot boxes, now voters registration exercise, now polling stations, and the police will go. Little wonder every time there's a change of government, the police suffers massively. It is about time the police begin to think for itself, begin to rethink. And having said this again, Fambulem, and then they take the entire national police force and lump them and dump them into this one main thing. No, I'm not doing that. Because I still want to believe there are good police. There are good police. But the polarization and the politicization of the state apparatus or institutions, i.e., the police, it don't create a dividing line in which one side just deal with government for the daily living, two things, daily living, bribery, corruption, because you can be given what you want, or the choices are limited. You cannot resign because you have to survive, or ethno-regionally, you feel connected, or you are being indoctrinated, you are being brainwashed. These are just factors. In any case, this does not give rise to the police for torture. The next time when they come, when they can't talk, or they bring graphic pictures, this time we will not hesitate, and we will continue for say this. Something has to change. We know, say, the authorities in Afritown, they are watching. Even as we make this, they are watching. We know, say, the police force, both me divided into two categories, the good and the bad. They are watching. They are. I'm emotionally attached to the police because I do have connection to the police, just like I get connection to teachers. I get an entire generation, mama, daddy, auntie, sister, brother, everybody, somehow, one way or the other, were a teacher. This is why we came heavily against Mr. Francis Ben Kaifala when he go teach, use teachers them as some kind of a guinea pig for a test experiment of anti-corruption. We backfire on a big time when the president himself had to apologize on his behalf. Where people don't understand, it's like, why did he apologize? But if you were real, why not go take an escoma, you go turn a cotton tree? If you were serious, why not be take Victor Fo, you go turn a cotton tree? Why not be take Alpha Khan, you go turn a cotton tree? Why not be take all them people that are supposedly we steal, where you investigate? But teachers, you were able to run quickly to justice and say they are guilty. And then you go disgrace a noble profession as such. And you see the backfire. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But this is not the polarization of the society. Identity politics. Yeah, either you are with us or you are against us. Either you are with me or you are against me. And we see the government in deep. And Fambulen, the message from this platform has changed, and they don't change fundamentally. I mean, just one for them want to know. And when I say don't change, will they up the tempo? Up the tempo in the sense, waiting play out in a parliament the other day, influence or impact with decision greatly for change the tempo, for speak in a hurried fashion, emergency-like, to our people. I want to repeat this. Waiting play out in a parliament. And the reason why we say so, here it is. You know, there's always this hope that despite, and that, you know, belong, or I mean, they happen to people like us, or me, there is always this hope, this flicker of hope. When everybody else don't give up, we still the hope say, maybe, just maybe. I know say there are a few people where they watch, where can accuse me, I don't forget the word, rightfully used, pedantic, to be pedantic, that you care for every small thing or you mention every small thing, which is true, even in my arguments. Because in the end, what I begin for make me summary, this implies I don't search every nook and cranny, every corner, every crevice, and I'm able for land comfortably or make me final summary or final delivery or submission, whichever way you want to call it. So there's been this high hope, because from the beginning, there was support for the manifesto of the SLPP. Very colorful, very powerful, free education, agriculture, marine resources, and the other many more. I read them, and I can talk about them, and I will talk about them subsequently in programs. But 3 years on, I am greatly disappointed, greatly, because it's not happening, and it seems like all like words. And we see the president in video, them where he pull out, and no way he pull out when he go for interviews, where they ask him, especially about the education policy, this free and quality education, which is his prize bull, his china on the shop shelf. Yet for explainer, it became a problem. I know the president is not an artful speaker, but there are things, you know, where you go out there for go talk, you're prepared. If now one Lily posted sheet you get, you know, just Lily beats the way go give you clue. But no. And what this exposed is like the insincerity, as if somebody may just map them out, or maybe it was even plagiarized. Because that's why you can't explain. Because if it's yours, you can deal with it. I'm sure listeners will agree with me. Unfortunately, this was not the case. And that was telling to those of us who had hope. And many other things were happening. When you add them up, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. And we see recent giveaways. President giving an opportunity, 3 years of rule. That's when you come and explain policy. Policy. That's how government operates, policy. Yet what did the president do? It turned on personal. It showed infectiousness about in wealth. We all can get vexatiousness. If somebody begin to talk to me where somehow my dear wife with whom I'm well pleased, I'll get upset. But I will try for weigh the balance in terms of my responsibility. So 8 million people are supposed to one person, if you know what I mean. So I'm giving the opportunity. I blasted it away 2 times, 3 times. Umaru Fofana, one of Sierra Leone's most decorated journalists, give the president a chance. He do a follow-up question. And yet, what do we hear? Now the pressure broke now the room in the form of a clap. Because there was tension in that room. There was pressure in that room. I didn't see everybody. I only saw the tape, the reactions, the subsequent question, the follow-up question. That's why I watch the president in body language and the way I will respond. And I have no doubt I can be a little bit arrogant about this, that I wasn't far away from the truth, because that's what they wanted to hear, and the pressure was so on. What is he going to say? And when he said that, which vindicated most of them, if not all of them, who were there at that press conference. They had nothing to do but to cheer. That was just a natural instinct that came out, because it's not like the answer was superb. No, that answer it wasn't superb. I suffer for fine the kind of because I still want to respect the fountain of honor. No, it wasn't. Again, the same president go on 98.1, and I watched the interview briefly with Asma Jallo. You can see the emotional strain on the journalist for ask the president the question about the 3 years of service that saw the people in the same, Mr. President. The president just doesn't get it. He just doesn't. And this hurts. It hurts for people that we intend for it kind of succeed, provide some kind of balanced answer, which shows that you are a statesman, that you've got responsibility for 8 million people. But no, he kicked that away as well. We can talk about it's been different anyway, and what have you. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Who else supports that? If you're not a sycophant, if you're not Bollywood, who supports that? What do you put above? Is it the green, white, and blue? Or is it just green? You take the blue and the white away, and you're left with green. You need for ask yourself questions and begin for re-examining yourself. Is it about country first, or is it about party first? Is it about occultism that are supporting anyway, whatever the cost? You cannot be serious about this when it comes to a country. And I'm saying this, I'm not speaking on a party level, I'm speaking on a national level. Something has to change. Either this president change, either this government change, either the approach change, or something has to give way. It cannot be business as usual. It cannot continue. The police cannot continue to torture our people in full view of camera and get away with it. And you don't expect us to talk about it. This just cannot continue. It's very, very unfair. It's very, very undemocratic. It's unpatriotic. Now is the time to speak up. Even if you support, your support should not be unconditional. It has to be a condition. It has to come with a condition. First of all, the premise here is if your support does not have a condition, then you don't support anything. And I'm sure you don't want to be an idiot not to support, something. You just support because for support business. Then you don't support anything. Anybody will support anything without condition. Then now you're not supporting anything. Anything that we can know. Oh yes, I'm with you. That's the height of idiocy, sycophancy, mediocre. That's what it is. I be say I'm not gonna go this far tonight because there are many more shows for come. But sometimes the passion in you is kind of burning. The country is burning. When I say burning, I don't mean in a literal sense, okay? But there are things that are happening we're not supposed, for kind of happen. And we get an idea what is going on and what basically will come. But like I say again, Fambul, and there are subsequent programs we will come. Let me read my brother in text, okay? This is important. It's a brother called Thomas Rogers who will watch the program. And I will give this credence, I just read the text. Of course, there are very good men and women with integrity, dignity, and professionalism in the Sierra Leone police force who day in and day out work with passion, honesty, and love for the job. Having said that, we must agree that there are very bad officers. Yeah, okay, I can continue because there's more to be read, but I've seen the point that he's trying to make. And I do agree, and that's what I was trying to espouse. These are the values that I'm trying to espouse. There are definitely good people within the Sierra Leone police force. When the police force was rejuvenated back in the 1990s after the civil strife, there were rules that were laid down. There were doctrines. The police was indoctrinated to believe in the people, that their service was in behalf of the people, not the politicians. But somehow the politicians have managed to take the upper ground again and divide the police, a noble force, a huge institution of state, and use this resource, this tool of the state, against its own people. This cannot be tolerated anymore. And when we talk so, we talk to the Sierra Leonean people for let them know. And from henceforth, every time we will talk now to the Sierra Leonean people. So waiting the border say, it is quite true that they are good people. But the fact of the matter is, the bad people, they're always overcome because when they do one bad thing, it will overshadow all the good things what the police do. This is the point. Famulem, we get a program where they come on the 26th of April. That's the eve of December, April, Independence. And then the program of Mr. Cherno Alpha Mba, one of Sierra Leone's most celebrated. And like I've been talking earlier on, if you don't agree with that, it's simply because you belong to the minority. It's just a fact. Because this big whistleblower of our time, we already don't make a mark. You can do anything now. It's done. It's done. Just like Jesus Christ was put on the cross at Calvary. When finally life was about to leave the body, the soul was about to leave the body, there were all the signs, and it said, it is done, if it is thy will. It's the same thing here. We're seeing it. The violations of processes and procedures. This cannot, it cannot go on. It is done. So Cherno Alphaba of the Africanist Press will be on this platform. It will be a conversation. It's not like the normal interview because the brother has done a lot of interviews, answer questions. His work is out there to make a judgment. Una go read a judgment for itself. With the Yeri people, they try for ridiculum. This brother in works have been taught in Western universities. We know some of us, how we get complex over Westerners and etc. And we know many people. So these many people now can one downplay a man whose works is being taught in universities in the Western world. And some people still say they want to educate them. Can you imagine that? What kind of folly is this? But why this is happening is because we know the height of hypocrisy, insincerity. This is where we are. The man released documents upon documents. If he were in the Western world, he will become an icon automatically. His bust will be planted in England, Parliament Square. In England, Parliament Square. That's the equivalent of what he's done for the country. He's provided relevant documents, places, names, who, when, where, what. Never have you seen the banks accused in all of these releases hold a press conference to deny that these documents are not ours. These checks were not brought into our place or cashed. Receipts, invoices. But yet, the narrative continues because they want to confuse we as if we are idiots. We are not idiots. The Sierra Leonean people are not idiots. They know very well. So come tell us, that this is not necessary, that you've got a foundation, but the very first person to receive funds from the consolidated fund, which is against the processes and procedures of the country, is so telling. First, it was denial, and then it's acceptance, and then the rationalization. that, oh yes, yeah, but we do have for do so, do so, do so. If you don't have the right, and I'm quoting Chernobyl now verbatim, if you don't have the right to the money, you've got no right to spend it. Family, this is not just fact. They do the same thing to Madame Lara Piastillo, a professional woman. We don't use the audit services, Sierra Leone, and raise them to a level. It don't evolve them, it don't become professional. Mind you, some 12 years or 15 years ago, Audit Sierra Leone was just one lily body inside the Ministry of Finance. Then how can you discover your independence where you get for do this masterpiece work in a country which is so highly corrupt? The woman managed for take them away from there, don't develop them to that independence state. Very, very professional. You can't miss it. Waiting and try for do the report with the woman pool, and try for blackmail them, and try for smear them, and make them appear as if, again, those of us that have been watching from the sidelines, that we are idiots. That waiting the woman, they say, oh, no, it's not true. Oh, you make a mistake here. ACC boss tell me some other thing, investigation, 14 years going back, and what have you. I wonder where we are. So there are many things what we need for talking Sierra Leoneans, they just need for wise up. These conversations goes on. So Chernobyl will be on the platform. And for the first time, I will introduce a young lawyer, ML Wuri, will be right by my side, will co-host the program. And the program will largely, it play a significant part there. And hopefully he will then become somebody in the platform, the then in our platform, we will advise on legal issues, not back home in Sierra Leone, but here in Europe, London to be specific, regarding legal matters. If na host problem you get, if na school expulsion you pick in, if na car park ticket, if na you rent, if na mortgage, things like that were so relevant to our community, because after all, UK government get a big book, and we lawyer then sabi, then who side for go straight and read. So hopefully this young man will provide advice on that basis day to the community. So we don't just talk about politics. We are also community based for help the community, and the community help us. We also get 5 powerful women that we get for camp na the platform, na the flyer na in the BME, and you get former honorable and minister of gender affairs under the APC government, Honorable Aissata Kabia, and you get Sister Aminata Say, and you get Sister Bob Kande, and few other more. I think Kadi, they forget the names, but they are coming on the platform, and when they can talk about Sierra Leone at 60, remember say this entire month is dedicated to the independence of Sierra Leone. So we are in a celebratory mode. They bring different people from different walks of life, including 5 powerful women, very powerful women who then one day we don't help for shatter the glass ceilings all over the place. Very professional women, different professional background, but come together under one umbrella because according to them, there's a clarion call for unity. So one discuss waiting a patriotism, waiting a love. Very relevant at 60 because we need to know that. Should your allegiance be to a mortal man? Should your allegiance be to a group? Or should your allegiance be to the country as a whole? Family, on the Chernobyl show, just in case I don't forget, we get Dr. Kande Kole Yumkela will be calling. We expect Dr. Kande Yumkela for call, okay, and offer an overview, a reflection of 60 years of independence. I mean, you can't have it bigger than Dr. Kande Yumkela. So Dr. Kande Yumkela would expect a day. We also expect word from Honorable Tawa Conte, one of the most outstanding parliamentarians of our time, okay? We expect word from him. And many, many other political figures then from the opposition and civil societies. With the hopes that all of them go call. We get commitment from a few of them. We don't send messages to many others. And just for call, it's a kind of reflection, okay? That's what we are asking for. But Fambulem, I think say I don't talk more than I've been planned for talk, but it's always necessary for Georgia other than war. On this basis, dear, not forget. The conversation continues. It's an absolute obligation or imperative on the part of us for the share them program there. We all get opinion. And sometimes when we do a calling program, you go find for let we call, let we have a conversation. This platform, they grow as soon as I can see. We get 4 days a week now on the platform. We get the Melvin Medziga show, which is doing brilliantly well. We're not getting numbers there yet, but gradually all shows begin slowly, and then people then gradually warm up to them. Because after all, the people that know the platform for be very politically kind of inclined, and the brother they do more community-based work. They talk to community people, powerful people, and people don't realize that yet, but gradually the numbers will rise. We also got brother Alfred Sankola, famous voice of Cashbox. They do a special program on the platform called Economic Solutions. Okay, and then you get Super Medway on a 4 weeks break. I want to not forget tomorrow, they show a repeated video. It will show live, but it's repeated. Please forgive me, if you will. And maybe we might even show them early, maybe by 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. But I'll put the announcement out later. And obviously, you get me safe where they do shows on Sundays. So 4 days of the calendar period is occupied. So here is what we're expecting. We expect the Well Body Show with a council where they can talk about general health. We'll go announce soon. That's a surprise. And the one where I just talk about the lawyer or legal program where they can talk about issues and advice family waiting for do when trouble come. Whether or not you're picking an expel from school, whether or not housing problem now you get, whether or not traffic ticket you get, whether or not mortgage problem you get, we get a lawyer, we're able to explain the process on waiting potentially you can do. And USAI for refer you, we also get people and we also the right. We're also the right. You get legal-minded people, them legal practitioners, them students. They're students, by the way, but then the right, wonderful. So there are many things to work for come. So that's what we are looking forward to the platform. But on the issue of police brutality, it's just really too much to be honest, and it's heartbreaking. For see your fellow citizens, they suffer at the hands of police, torture chamber, where amounts to the abuse of the human rights. Remember, whether or not thief you thief, even the worst case you kill, you still get your human rights, because after all, we legal jurisprudence does say every one of us, now the background and the where we come from, every one of us, we are innocent. I repeat, we are innocent until we are proven guilty. Until then, me now a host and presenter, Prince Chroma, I beg una for end on this basis. No say we'll get for go back again, go tomorrow. But something has to change and the world don't change. It's no longer that easy going. We speak truth now to power directly and to we people then. We begin for prime the minds of our people, for letting them know, waiting for expect and what is coming. Because from waiting happen in Parliament, it's no joke. And one last announcement I almost forget. I go there on the sister in program, Sister Fabe Jembe, Liz Jembe in America. They operate a Unity platform. I don't watch them, very good. And I will be a guest on the program with other stakeholders than Sierra Leone. So it will be a good conversation and I look forward to that. And this one will take place on the same Sunday. I get a show on Sunday, but 2 hours before the show, I go there on Sister Liz Jembe show. But it's not a problem. Anything in the quest for unity for Mama Salon, I have no qualms about it. I have no complaints, no grumbles. I am ready to lift the green, white, and blue flag every time I'm required to do so. For the Then and Now platform, I've been your host and presenter, Prince Samuel Koma. Welcome to Una today, the 23rd of April, 2021. So I left Una again with the same song, we're very important. It's almost like a national kind of anthem. Yeah? Almost like a national kind of anthem.